I am just about on my way to the airport to face. I know it's going to be such chaos. My favorite. I can pivot in chaos. What I wanted to jump into today is if you have started this process of truth telling, if you have started digging into the stories that you've told yourself for a long time and facing that a lot of it is just mythology that you've had to carry all of these years, when you start telling the truth and then you come back into contact with people that are not engaged in that process, you're going to seem very changed to them and they're going to seem very changed to you. Welcome to Body of Truth. I'm Rebecca Windsor. Body of Truth was born after years of kind of just making do and trying to keep everything on an even keel, but not really being honest about what was going on in my marriage. My 25-year marriage did end with a phone call, but looking back, it was because I didn't want to see the signs of what was leading up to it. I was not telling the truth. And then shortly after that, my son left for college, and I was left to rebuild two completely fractured identities of wife and mother, because it's what I've always known. In the first year, I spent it pretty fucked up, on my hands and knees, puking my guts out, physically debilitated, overweight, so depressed, just absolutely lost my grip on everything I thought I knew, because a lot of what I thought I knew turned out to be lies. So in that process of coming out of the complete bottomless pit of the dark, I started to be able to recognize that voice that finally, because I had no more resistance to fight it, started to whisper to me. And she told the truth. Some of it was really, really hard to see, but it was necessary. And really the most important thing I got from that whole process is that I knew I wanted to make fundamental changes. I knew that a lot of the stuff that we had kind of just decided to push under the rug didn't work, but I just didn't know how to make them until I was in that crisis point. And what I did discover is a technique of physical repetition. So as you're making these repeated new decisions in your life, you're bringing them up and through your physical body so that you're making a full-on muscle memory, so they become automatic. They just become part of your everyday life. And then your brain patterns are shifted. Your neural topography is literally changed. So your brain patterns follow this new pattern. And then the outside of your life starts to reflect the inside of your life. You know, when you've changed your reality on the interior, it really starts to show on the exterior as well. So one of my mentors used to call this drive-by truthing, right? Becoming so infatuated with digging down and telling the truth that if you don't keep that in context and you don't understand and have compassion to meet others where they are, it becomes actually quite assaultive, where you are using the truth as a weapon. And what I would tell you to do, especially as we gather together with our loved ones, where there might be old family mythology that comes up for you, and now you're on this crusade to rid yourself of all these old stories, and you're being told one, you might have a pretty violent reaction and start to unload in a way where that person doesn't understand your context or where you're coming from at all, because they're not in the same process as you. So the first thing is, I offer you to try to meet people where they are. You are not going to be able to impart your version of the truth to someone over Thanksgiving dinner. And you need to honor wherever they are at. You're going to have to be able to honor your truth. You don't have to join in a lie. You can exempt yourself from the conversation. You can leave the room. You can make small comments like, that's just not how I remember it. I'm going to leave it at that. Don't inflame and engage, because again, this process of self-discovery and truth-telling is so amazing and gratifying. But if you're using it as a weapon and you're just aiming it like, yeah, well, you said this and 10 years ago it was really this, first of all, is the Thanksgiving table the time or place? Is that information totally relevant? And are you putting it in context so they can understand? I can guarantee you that the context is lost, and so you will get a defensive listener and go nowhere. And I don't really think that the family gathering is probably the first place to start to address these things. Now, I'm not saying things are not going to trigger you. They are. But now you have some techniques to understand, wow, I know what that's affecting in me. And you can kind of back yourself off from that place of attack. I hope you can do that. So as you see your loved ones, whether your relationship is traditionally blissful or a little bit more you tend to conflict more, I hope that you're able to kind of meet each other right where you are with compassion, because there is a bond that you share. And maybe you can bring up the good stuff, because I'm not saying you shouldn't mind the bad stuff together, but maybe not over turkey. Context and presentation, not softening your message, not diluting what you have to say, but saying it in a way where the person can understand and hear it, is not the same as just throwing these truth bombs in someone's general direction. And they can be incredibly painful, especially for someone who's not yet willing to go through this process. So try to be really mindful of those around you this coming holiday. And, I hope that you can have that sliver thin time between when someone says something, you feel yourself go, and then you can kind of bring yourself back and say, listen, that's my old paradigm talking. I don't have to listen to those voices anymore. I can just say, I know that's your piece. I know that's what you believe, and I'm going to leave it right there. So that is what I offer you today. And hopefully my trip is not too insane. I have this feeling that it's going to be a little chaotic, but that's okay. I hope you found this helpful, and I will continue to kind of dive a little bit deeper, especially when it comes to family relationships, because they're both so valuable, they can be so damaging, and they also tend to need a lot of healing. I wish you a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, but don't worry, I won't be missing a day. I upload every day, and I will see you tomorrow.